Hello, Ken. Hello, Jonathan. Let's try to keep this quick. Might even be able to jump on a call if you're still around. However, thank you for the timings. Have those on a different monitor over here. I have copied them over here. Thank you for those. A few curveballs, but that's not a problem. So there are some things that I probably need to go through, and let's see where we're at. It all works, I think, is the outcome of this. However, just the reality of a bit of faff here and there and some briefing and those sorts of things, there are some changes. Hopefully they're okay. So we start off, let's just say everybody starts mingling around before 9, obviously, but you will just make sure that it's like, be around, there's some coffee and things like that, but we're going to try, and especially on the first day, we're going to be gathering around, obviously you and Jana, whoever are going to be doing the intro there. It's really, I noticed there was like maybe warm up. I can definitely do a warm up if they've not met everybody before. There's a really good thing you can do, crappy portraits. I won't go too far into that, but it's just fun and interesting. It's just quite chatty. Then obviously we'll do the fireside chat. There we go. So that is set. That is locked. There's a break after that one, so absolutely fine. Then what we'll do is we'll obviously then go, hey, right, we're going to do the rest of the day and we're going to do all the presentations. So quick one here. So I notice you have presentations and questions. Cool and everything. It's just that with handovers and faff and all that sort of stuff, there isn't really any time at the end of this for those questions. So may I suggest that if we're briefing people to do these presentations, I know last year it was you've got 10 minutes and that's it. Actually was just saying, well, you've got a kind of a slot of 15. If you want to do it in 10, awesome. There might be some time for some questions in there as well. But there isn't any time in this for actually questions at the end of the day, so to speak. So we might have to be quite strict on that, saying you've got 15 minutes, but your questions or questions that you open up have to be within that 15 minutes. And we'll use the timer and all that sort of stuff. We haven't really got a huge amount of time to go over. However, you can go up to lunch doing that, and you will get to lunch exactly. So we'll have to literally go, right, it is lunch now, everybody go. Come back after lunch all refreshed, ready to go. Obviously, if saying 1 hour and 15 minutes there, that's all good, but there will be a bit of faff. People will turn up and get their coffee and all that sort of stuff. And then we'll have to say welcome back to the room. That will probably take 5 to 10 minutes of stuff. So again, putting that into the schedule, and then putting the other 10 teams. Now notice on day 2 you've got 11 speed dating sessions, so I assume that's because you want to break out an extra partner. However, on day 1, assuming that there are 10 sessions here, because you've got 10 founder teams, that gets you to again 15 minutes. If we then had Q&A at the end and said, right, hey, you heard some questions, anything else? Now we're at the end of all the questions. You've only got 15 minutes for those, but that gets you up to 3:15. So just be aware of that. Now, at that point, we're going to say goodbye to the partners. They leave. But what we kind of want to do is, if we're going to use the cards, what I'm conscious of throughout this, there's no real big exercise where everybody's building. There's no real time in here. So what I think we need to do in that break is, when we say goodbye to the partners, at the beginning of the day, if we're going to use those cards again, we just go, look, if you've got your own notes, absolutely great. Get your notepad out and make notes that you want to say tomorrow, or you want to guide yourself tomorrow. But we also have these cards. These cards are going to the founders, so please write as many cards as you want. And founder to founder is also quite cool as well, so as per last year. When we get to that break at 3:15, we tell everybody, please leave all of your or donate essentially your cards to the center of the tables, and then they wander away. Everybody gets their coffee for 15 minutes. The founders wander off and do coffees. Partners leave at this point. We need to go around and collect all those cards in pretty short order and do what we did last time. It didn't take a huge amount of time. I think it took about 10 minutes to sort them. However, everybody comes back from their break after their 15-minute break. There will be a little bit of faff and all that sort of stuff. We'll then say, right, okay, we haven't got a huge amount of time for the rest of the day, but you will all have a stack of cards. Go into your founder teams. You'll have your stack of cards delivered to you, and that will give you something to work from. There might be some surprises in there, but there might also be some great leads in there. So you probably just want to do this very simple template, and we can print this out on a piece of paper, dead easy to do. But it just says who, what, why, and you have to fill out as many of those. You go, oh, I really want to speak to NASCAR because I think when they were talking to somebody else, it was really interesting, or the question they had, we should definitely follow up on that. So just make sure that those are really obvious and robust. If you've got them in your notes, put them on these plans. And then we just open out to the room. It's only going to be for maybe 20 minutes or so, and go, hey, has anybody got some really interesting things that they're mulling through their brains at the moment? And that will screech you up to 5 o'clock. So that's where we're at with day one. Day two obviously starts very similar at 9 o'clock, etc., etc. But we've now got to say, look, you are doing speed rounds today. You are going to meet. So take your notes from yesterday. You are now going to meet them. You will all have time with everybody else. And I noticed there are 11 sessions here, so I assume that's for a reason. But it's all cool. So 30 minutes per, I know you put 27 minutes, but really that's 30 minutes. But really I think it has to be a strict 25, and I'll tell you for why as we get in there. But I know we had 15 minutes last year, I think it was. So it's even 10 minutes more than that. However, I think it'll have to be a strict 25 with the gong on 25, and then the moving around is probably going to take a couple of minutes. So not ideal, but just to let you know, in the timings currently got, there is no break before lunch, and even with that break, we're still squeezing up to 12 o'clock. Because what I've done is I've turned it from 30 minutes to 25, and that means you can get an extra round in before lunch, but there's no break. So it's tricky. However, that's all cool. We can get up to there having done 6 rounds. If we're going to do a break in the middle of that, which I think we probably should, then we can only do 5 rounds up until the break. And that's still quite mentally quite tiring. However, we'll get up to the break. Again, break is only going to be for an hour today. So there'll be a little bit of faff, of course there will. Actually there's no faff today, but there will be sort of a 5 minutes back in the room. Hey everybody, we're about to start on. Is everybody seated? Great, awesome, 5 minutes. Then if we do some more rounds, or we'll do more rounds, same deal, 25 minutes per round. But I think at the end of this you will need a break, because you can't really go from essentially 1 o'clock all the way through till 5 o'clock without having a wee, quite frankly, and taking on some water. And what we don't want people is possibly moving around and going for breaks and stuff. I think it should be okay to do that, because you can then say, right, there are multiple founders, multiple partners. So if somebody just has to nip out, go to the bathroom, maybe get a coffee, then just figure it out yourself, but do it in the rounds. You've got quite a long time. So that said, I do think we need an official break at some point in the afternoon. I put it before the sort of the wash-up session, so done all of the roundabout things. Everybody's going, everybody's got on like a house on fire. Everybody's got lots and lots of notes in front of them. Go for a quick break and then come back in, and then we'll just do a quick, hey, before we hear from David Garcia, then we'll just do a quick half an hour. Let's go around the room. What is a really interesting thing that's come up? And, put your hands up or whatever you want to do, but we'll try and give everybody, even if you give everybody a minute, that's still going to be 20 minutes in the room. What's interesting? What came up? What are you most excited about? That sort of thing. Then we'll say, okay, right, great. Now we've got a treat for you. Obviously, we've got at 4 o'clock, we've got David Garcia, and we do that thing. Probably 50 minutes. I know it's in for an hour, but you might then want to say next steps for tomorrow, and also say goodbye at that point to the partners, because I believe that's when we're doing that. So there might be a little bit of wash up at the end of the day. I don't know how flexible you are with the 5 o'clock, but just again, timings wise, you might want to cut that a bit short, so you put everything within the 5 o'clock limit. Then on the third day, this is where I need a little bit of feedback. There's another thing I need feedback on as well. However, on the Wednesday, it sounds like it's relatively short. Well, it is relatively short because you finish at lunchtime, but start on the same time, 9 o'clock. Hey, this is what we're going to do. You've obviously got Ryan coming in, so that will take you up to 10:30. You've got a break in there, that's no problem at all. But that really only then leaves you an hour and a half until lunchtime, and then we get the end of it. So in that hour and a half, I know you've got, founder stuff. It's what you want to do with that 1.5 hours. So one of the ideas would be, everybody just be really clear what you want to get out of today. And I know we spoke about, which partners do you want to contact later? What do you think the solid opportunity is? What size of opportunity do you think that is? Is it a monetary thing? Is it a 1 to 10? What's in it for them? Just be clear. What's in it for you? What would be the sort of the 3-month proof of concept? What would be the, maybe the longer thing? I don't know what that needs to be. Are there any watch outs and frictions that you might need to consider? and what's the first step you're going to make. So just make sure that you've got maybe 3 of those cards, 10 of those, whatever it is, but just fill them in. Now, the question I've got with that is that just, do you need that? Would that be useful, or would they already be in that space already? Would they already be super smart, running on 1,000 miles an hour? But however, there is an hour and a half where you could have a let's coalesce all the opportunities and make sure you're really clear about them. But I don't know also whether you can use that to have the cohorts had a huge amount of time around and talking about their own things as well, with the sort of into founder, so to speak. So just let me know what you want to do with that. Either way, probably what we want to do is, with half an hour to go, something like that, we then want to stop and go, look, hey, what have your highlights been? What are you most looking forward to? What are you most excited by? And then we're at lunch. So there you go. That's more or less that. I think the only thing, what was I going to talk about? There was going to be something, can't quite remember. Probably isn't that important. However, hopefully that is useful. That's where I'm at the moment. Again, all this is totally malleable. We've got a week and a bit to do all this sort of stuff. The only things that might be a little bit tricky will be, let's just make sure is this going to be useful, or do we want to use post-it notes? It's up to you. I would suggest use those because we've got a load from last time. Do you fancy doing the sheets? Do you really need those sheets? Again, you might want these sheets over here as well. Again, it's just a PowerPoint template. You print out 50 of them on some paper, bring them with you. Other than that, hopefully that's useful. Let me know. Time to tweak. If not, I'm around and about this evening as well, so send me an email and we can always have a chat live. It's always better. Speak to you soon.